Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar for Making Tax Digital for Income Tax. Today's session is going to be all about the changes in legislation that has been set out by HMRC on how sole traders and landlords are going to report on their income and expenses. We're here today to support you on that journey, provide guidance based on what HMRC has set out, but in a more simplified way. Today's webinar is more in-depth than top level, but it's not going to be as detailed as our online course where you can earn a digital badge. And I'll talk more about this later on in the session. The question panel is going to be open today. If you can hang fire, we are going to be covering a lot of information, and it might be something that we do cover on today's session. So we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. But if not, you will be able to find that information on our resources on our help centre, or you will find it on the HMRC website. So this session is going to last approximately 45 minutes, might be a little bit longer. You are going to receive a link to the recording of today's session in your follow-up email, and that's going to be around an hour after the session has ended. So don't worry if you don't catch everything first time round, as there is a lot of information to absorb today. You are going to be able to revisit this in your own time. When you get the link to the recording, it's going to show everything that we've covered today, and including the recording of the video that we showed today as well. One last thing I want to make you aware of, this session is not product demonstration. The session is about legislation. We do have a short video to show you of our smaller business product. So that's going to be like the Sage Individual. So I can give you a little bit of a preview, but we do have some sessions coming up where you can join, and that's where Matt's going to go through all of the product demonstration, how to use it in the software. So keep an eye out for that. I am going to show you how to register for that towards the end of the session. But yes, just to make you aware, cover a little bit of product demonstration, but this is mainly legislation. Okay, so my name is Abby. I'm a learning facilitator here at Sage, and I've been here around 5 years. I'm going to take you through Making Tax Digital for Income Tax and what it could mean for you. Just before we go through the legislations and what we're going to be covering today, I'm going to go through a little bit of housekeeping. So some of you may have attended a webinar before, so we'll take you through some of what you to expect in today's session. So when you join, you will be placed on mute automatically. You won't be able to remove the mute, but you can still ask questions, and it's just that little questions panel down the right hand side. You click on the icon that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. I do also have a handout for today. I do recommend that you do download this, as it will have some links to resources and helpful areas to help you with this process. So please do get that downloaded before the session has ended. So you click on the little document icon with the folded corner, you can click download for that session. Just a reminder for those of you who've just joined us, this session is recorded and it will be included in your follow-up email. You'll get that email around an hour after the session has ended. So this is what we're going to be covering on today's session. So we're going to start by introducing Making Tax Digital, what it is and when it was first introduced. We'll then look at who will be impacted and when the different thresholds will be. We'll look at what are the requirements. So we've broken it down into 3 sections. So recording, submitting quarterly updates, and final adjustments. We'll delve into the digital records and the quarterly reports and what you can expect to provide to HMRC. We'll look at key dates for submissions and deadlines. And then lastly, we'll look at ways and means and how you can plan and prepare for actions to take in the future. So let's start with what is Making Tax Digital. Okay, so Making Tax Digital was also known as MTD when it was first introduced in 2019 for VAT. But it is 7 years later, in April 26, when arguably one of the biggest changes is set to arrive. MTD for income tax will affect millions of sole traders and landlords. And now it is going to be introduced in stages, and we'll come to that in just a second, but you may have more time than you think. However, we are encouraging you to prepare now for when the time comes, so you already have your ducks in a row. So let's have a look at who and when. So the criteria for MTD for income tax is for sole traders and landlords with UK and or foreign property. And it's also including shared ownership properties as well. If you are a sole trader with multiple businesses, then it will be the combined income of those businesses that will determine if you cross the threshold. Now, you could also be a sole trader and a landlord, so therefore it is the combined income before expenses. A key point to note here is that if you have income from a jointly owned property, it is just your share of the property income that will count towards your qualifying income. So phase one is based off those earning over 50,000 a year. Phase two is income over 30,000 a year. And phase three is over 20,000 a year. Now you might be wondering, well, when is all this happening? So £50,000 a year is from the 6th of April 2026, so that's this year. You've then got £30,000 a year, which is from the 6th of April 2027. And then by the 6th of April 2028 for those earning over £20,000 a year. So the scope of who is impacted by this legislation has changed slightly. So HMRC have decided income from partnerships no longer count towards the qualifying income. So just a recap on who and when. So it is the combined turnover before expenses. It is for self-employment and property, UK and foreign. And qualifying income is assessed 2 tax years before the tax year in question. So if you qualify, for example, for phase one in April 2026, it is your income from the tax year 24-25 that is being assessed as to whether your income qualifies for MTD. So let's take a look at some scenarios based on the phase one, which is £50,000 a year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch each scenario on your screen, and you just simply have to answer yes or no whether you think this individual will have to comply for MTD for income tax by April 2026. Don't worry if you get the answer wrong. It's just a little bit of fun just to break this up. So I'm just going to launch the first scenario on your screen. So first scenario, Jenny is a sole trader and has self-employment income of £25,000 a year. Will Jenny need to comply by April 2026? So we've just discussed those 3 phases. So pop your answers in. We want to know if Jenny's earning £25,000 a year, will she need to comply by April this year? See the answers are still coming in there, so we'll give it a little bit longer. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll end that poll. See most of your votes are in now, and I'll share the results with you as well. So as you can see, 96% of you have said no, and 4% of you have said yes. So no, Jenny will not need to comply by April 2026, but what she will need to do is comply by April 2028. Okay, so we'll go to the next scenario. Again, all of these scenarios are based off April this year, so over 50,000, okay? So we'll launch the poll again. So Jenny is a sole trader, has self-employment income of £25,000 a year and rental income from her property of £14,000 a year. So will Jenny need to comply by April 2026? So all based off this year. So you can see we're still getting answers through now. So you can see how votes are coming in nice and quickly. Again, if you're not sure, just take a guess. You're not going to be penalised or anything like this if you get the answer wrong. We'll give it until we get around 80%. So I can see the votes are coming in nice and quickly. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will end that poll there. Don't worry if you haven't been able to vote. I'll share those results. So as you can see, 6% of you have said yes, and 94% of you have said no. So adding those two together, that will take Jenny over the threshold for phase 2. So she won't need to comply by this year, but she will need to comply by next year. Okay, so we'll go to the last scenario. Now with this one, it always trips people up. So Jenny has self-employment income of £25,000 a year. She has that rental income of £14,000 a year, and she has her half of shared rental income. So her half is £13,000. So will she need to comply by April this year? So pop your answers in there for me again. See the answers are coming in again very quickly. Again, just a little bit of fun. Don't worry if you don't get the answer right. Just pop an answer in. You can see we're getting them in nice and quickly. So again, I'll just wait until we get around 80%. Okay, I can see we've got nearly all the votes in there. So what I'll do is I'll end that poll and share the results with you again. So as you can see, 75% of you have said yes, 25% of you have said no. So Jenny will need to comply at this point. If we add those three together, you've got your 25, your 14 and 13. That takes you to 52. So that will take her over the £50,000 a year threshold. So she would need to comply by April 2026. Okay, so I'll just close that poll down. Well done to those of you who got those right. What I have done in your handout, you will see I have included the slide where we talk about these different scenarios and it explains why, you know, which and when she would need to comply by. So don't worry if you're not entirely sure, you have got that to refer back to as well. Okay, so we've already discussed who is in and we know that's sole traders and we know that's landlords. Now, this also includes shared ownership where rental income is received. Now you may be wondering, well, how do I know if I'm exempt? So what I've done, I have listed some. So I haven't been able to include them all, but we'll go through some of them in this list. So I can see your questions already coming through. Well, what about limited companies? So they're not included in making tax digital for income tax at this point. That and also means partnerships aren't included, trusts, estates, trustees of registered pension schemes and non-resident companies. Someone with the power of attorney, do not have a UK national insurance number, or if you claim married couples allowance or blind persons allowance. So again, these are just some of them. What I do recommend as part of your process of signing up, if you need to sign up to MTD, check out that link there on your handout where it says to find out more, click here about exemptions. So what we'll look now is we'll look at the requirements in the actual process of making tax digital. So we can break this down into three sections. So the first, we have recording your income and expenses. So if you're already using software, you may already be doing these steps. So in that case, nothing is changing. You just keep recording your transactions as normal. You just need to make sure that you are recording for each business and each property that you own. Secondly, is the quarterly updates. These updates are just going to be totals for each category, which if you've entered into the software already, they will be calculated and added together for you. So you're not going to be sending HMRC digital information, like transactional data. Lastly, you've got your final adjustments and corrections and submitting a tax return. So although you can make adjustments throughout the year, you may need to check if any final adjustments or you may need to claim any relief. And this can be done at this point. Once all the checks have been done, you then submit your final tax return confirming everything that has been submitted to the best of your knowledge. So next we'll have a look into digital records and the quarterly updates explained. So when it comes to processing in the software, you must enter all income and expenses. If you are a sole trader and a landlord, you must keep your property digital records separate from your business digital records. When entering transactions, you must include amount, date, and tax category. Now, these categories are defined by HMRC, so that could include turnover, cost of goods bought for resale, wages, salaries, and other staff costs, car, van, and travel expenses. Now, if you have retail sales like a shop, you may choose to record your daily sales in one digital record rather than every single transaction you put through that day. So you might be wondering, well, what am I expected to record? So your self-employment, it may be the likes of including sales, takings, fees, cost of stock, travel, office and other financial costs. If you own a property independently or shared, you will be looking at recording rent, lease fees, reverse premiums, inducements, cost of repairs, maintenance, and potentially other services. You may find that you're actually recording all of this information already. So this part of the process is going to be no different for you. Additionally, if you like to automate some of your processing, you can use something called bank feeds, which exists in our products already, such as Sage Accounting and Sage 50 Accounts. And it may be something that you may have heard of, but what you can do is you can use bank feeds rules to automate your transactions as and when they come in from the bank. Now, quarterly updates are a simple summary of income and expenses. It's going to support you and HMRC in understanding your tax and national insurance liability across the year. So what must be in a quarterly update? So it's income and expenses, tax category totals for the period. So you're not going to be sending HMRC transactional data. This is the same information that would be provided in the existing self-assessment tax return, but it's just now being provided quarterly. Now, don't worry if your data is not completely accurate within these stages, because you can always adjust the next quarter as the periods are cumulative. So you just need to make sure that at the final stage of coming to submit your tax return, it is as accurate to the best of your knowledge. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to show you a short video. It's about 3 minutes long. It's going to show you how to briefly set it up and how to what your submitting quarterly updates is going to look like. Now, this isn't going to be available to everybody just yet, but it's at least you know what you're going to be expecting when the time comes. And the reason why it's not available is because we're still in the testing phase at the moment, and we do have that testing phase as a separate webinar where Matt does cover all about that as well. And I'm going to talk about that later on in the session. So don't worry if you don't see these options right now, and maybe they're not available to you at this present moment. But I'll come back to you after the video has ended.
Once MTD for income tax is available in your Sage accounting software, select Income Tax from the left navigation menu to activate. You'll see two options. If you're not already registered with HMRC, click here. If you've already registered and need to activate your software, click this option. You'll now have the option to connect to HMRC. Following the on-screen instructions, you'll be asked to log in to the gov.uk website with your user ID and password created when you signed up. To enable your software to connect to HMRC, click here. To find your business, enter your national insurance number. Confirm the details on the screen are correct and click Confirm. Once you have activated MTD for income tax in your software, you will be presented with a summary of your tax estimate, quarterly updates, and end-of-year tasks. End-of-year tasks are accessible only after all 4 quarterly updates have been submitted. Within the quarterly update section, you can view the number of days remaining until your next quarter is due. Each period is represented by a distinct tile displaying the relevant submission dates. To submit your upcoming quarter, select View and Send Update. This section will display all your category totals, which are calculated based on the data entered into the software. As long as you continue entering transactions as standard practice, submitting quarterly updates simply involves verifying that the information is accurate to the best of your knowledge. Should you notice any discrepancies, they can often be easily corrected. Just locate the relevant transaction in the software and make the necessary adjustments to ensure accuracy. In the top right, you have the option to download this information as a PDF document. Once you have reviewed and confirmed the figures, select Send to HMRC. A confirmation message will appear, indicating that this action will adjust your annual tax estimate. Please note that no payment is required until your final tax return has been submitted. Click here to send update to HMRC. On your summary page, you will see a message along the top stating the update is being processed, and it may take up to an hour to see a change in the quarterly update status. Your tax estimate figure will be revised each time you submit your quarterly updates. You can also view a breakdown and view comments.
Okay, so I just got a couple of questions that I wanted to pick up there that have come through. So, can I use Sage 50 accounts for MTD for income tax? So, although we have shown on one of our Sage individual products, it will be available in Sage 50. Just keep an eye out for that. We are going to be doing some more content for 50 closer to the time, so do keep your eyes peeled on that one. Another question that's come through as well. So can we use the quarterly update? Can the quarterly update figures be input manually? So no. So they will be based off the transactions you have entered into the software, which is why everything needs to be recorded, because that is how your totals are calculated based on what you have entered, the transactions that you have entered into the software. Okay, so let's move on to submissions and deadlines. So the update periods for the quarterlies are by default aligned to the tax year. So for example, we have on the left, we've got the standard, and then on the right, we've got the calendar update period. So you can align to either one, but typically it is the standard update periods. So as you go through, you will, each quarter, you will need to submit. You've got update 1, update 2, update 3. And then you'll finally have update 4. So each of these will be, each of your updates will be submitted by the 7th of August, by the 7th of November, by the 7th of Feb and then the 7th of May being the final one. So it's always a month and 2 days after the quarter has ended. So it's the same for the calendar update periods as well. So it'll be 1 month and 2 days. So as you can see, that's what you can kind of expect, the dates you can expect to be submitting your quarterly updates. And then finally, you'll have your final tax return in the following January. So it's always the January following the end of the tax year. So you've got all that time from that final period, you know, final submission on the 7th of May. You've got all that time right through to January to make any adjustments if you need to, claim any relief or anything like that. Now, let's take a look at this again, but in a slightly different angle. So let's just say we have the taxpayer. So we've got Joe Bloggs here. Joe Bloggs has got 2 self-employment incomes. He's got 1 UK property and he's got a shared property income as well. So here he adheres to the standard update period. The standard update periods for these quarterlies. So he aligns with the tax year. So what he'll do is he'll digitally record 1 set of records for his first employment. He'll have another set of records for his second employment. He will then also have records for each of his properties as well. But what he will do is when he comes to do his quarterly updates each quarter, for his properties, he will combine those 2 together. So if you have multiple properties, you only ever submit 1 quarterly update for any, no matter how many properties that you have. So you'll do 1 for each of those incomes. And then it's this part that's probably going to change the most for people in terms of the in-year process, in terms of, you know, doing those quarterly updates, adding new transactions. If you've already been doing that before, that remains the same. Okay, so with the end of year process, so this is where you're going to make your final adjustments and allowances. So it could be interest, dividend income, capital gain, claim for marriage allowance, and essentially anything that's on your tax return now that sits outside the self-employment and property pages. Now, I just want to remind you, all of these adjustments can be done throughout, and you do not have to wait until the end of the year to make these adjustments. But as I've mentioned before, the quarterly updates, the periods are cumulative. So what might change from one quarter to the next, you know, you can just make that, you know, you can just make those changes. So then the next period, it will just account for that. So all you're doing at this end of year process, you've done all your claim, your relief, you've then got your final tax return. So all that you're doing at that point is just making sure that all the information that's already been sent over is accurate to the best of your knowledge. And that means that HMRC can give you a more accurate estimation of your tax liability. So hopefully this gives you a bit more clarity on what you can expect from making tax digital for income tax. If you are already entering records digitally, then you're already halfway there. It is the in-year process that has changed, but again, all the software is doing is taking the category totals based on what you've entered into the software that needs to be sent quarterly, and your tax return is just clarifying what you've already been sent. It's just spreading out the workload rather than having to do it all in one go in the January. Okay, so let's take a look at penalty points. So if you miss any of the deadlines that I've just mentioned, penalty points will apply. Under the new penalty regime, you will accrue points for late submissions and late payments, and these translate into monetary fines once a certain number of points have been accrued. So under the new penalty regime, you will accrue points for late submissions and late payments, and this will translate to monetary fines once 4 points have been accrued. You need to make sure that you are filing these quarterly updates on time. If you fail to do so, you will get a penalty point for each deadline you miss. If you miss 4 quarterly updates, for example, you will get a financial penalty of £200. If you have multiple entities, you miss a deadline for all 3 of them, you will still only get that 1 point as an individual. Points for MTD for VAT are not linked. They are 2 completely separate processes. If you get 3 points and begin to be consistent with your submissions on time, then for the next 12 months, points will be deducted. And lastly, as well, to confirm the first year, for the first year, there will be no penalty points to allow for everyone for just adjusting period. So when you start in 2026, for the first year, there will be no penalty points. If you're starting in 2027, again, for the first year, there's going to be no points, and the same for 2028. So it's a soft landing. It's an adjustment period. So let's have a look at planning, preparation, and actions. So now that you understand your obligations under MTD, the work involved and the time it takes to consider whether you want to engage with an agent, bookkeeper, or an accountant if you don't have one already. So you might want to use a bookkeeper for the quarterly updates, use a separate accountant for the end of year tax return. Landlords may have specialised agents for their property business and then a different agent for the remainder of the submissions. But HMRC have committed to providing a solution ahead of April 2026 that will allow a taxpayer to have more than one authorised agent. Now, here at Sage, we can't tell you whether you need an agent or not. That's entirely up to you. How much of the workload are you willing to do? What we do have is we have an accountant directory. So in here, you can find an accountant or a bookkeeper that is proficient with our software to be able to help you with this process. So I'll quickly show you. I have got it open on here. So if you click on the handout, the link on the handout, and that's just this little button here in the top right, it'll take you to this page. Now you can pop in some filters if you wish. You'll see a list of accountants here. Alternatively, you can pop to the map view. And what it'll do is it will show you, if we zoom in, you can find an accountant or bookkeeper in your area. So you can zoom in, zoom into our area. We can see where they are based in our areas. And it just means that if you want someone local to be able to do the work, it means that if you want to, have face-to-face meetings with them and things like that, you can do so as well. Okay, so moving a dial on your MTD plans. So first we've got eligibility. So you will need to determine if you need to use MTD for income tax, understand your income, for the required periods, to understand if you are over the income threshold, and will need to comply with MTD next year, the year after, or if you're close to the threshold, in case you need to monitor this closely for when you do cross the threshold. Next, you've got digital record keeping. So ensure you have a system in place to keep digital records of your business, income and expenses. This involves using compatible software to create and maintain these records and submit your information to HMRC. Next, you need to plan and manage your time effectively to ensure you are ready to get your quarterly updates submitted on time and avoid any penalty points. Next, you want to choose your software. So choose compatible software that suits your business needs. Many providers do offer solutions that can help you comply with the new requirements. As we've already discussed, multiple agents, so you need to understand whether, how much are you willing to do, how much do you want to engage with an agent as well. Next, you want to consider training yourself, your staff, to ensure everyone is familiar with the new digital process and how to use any new software. voluntary sign up. So we do have in place a testing phase. You can still sign up for this. It did begin in April last year, but it is still available. And there is a, like I say, a dedicated webinar all about the testing phase that is done by Matt. Again, I'm going to cover that in just a moment and how you can get registered for that webinar. And lastly, you want to stay informed. So you want to keep up to date with any further announcements or changes to MTD for the income tax requirements. The government may provide additional guidance as the implementation date approaches, and you can see further support, and I'm going to show you where you can get that further support on those links in the session as well. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the solutions that we offer here at Sage. Now, I'm not going to talk about pricing on this session. I just want to make you aware of some of the products we currently have available to you. So firstly, we have Sage Individual Free. This will do the bare minimum to get you compliant with MTD. It'll allow you to enter your transactions, submit your quarterly updates, and submit that final tax return. So you can manage your income and expenses, you get your income tax summary, you can record receipts, and you get access to a free mobile app as well. Then we have Sage Individual. So this is where this is a paid version. So you do get access to more. So you get access still the basics. So your income expenses, your income tax summary, record receipts. You can manage your sales invoices. You get access to an app. You can snap and scan receipts, auto-categorize expenses. You can use bank feeds. And you get access to web chat and community support as well. Now, the next lot of products that we do offer, so you've got Sage Accounting. So you've got Accounting Start, Accounting Standard, and you also have Accounting Plus. Now, again, I'm not going to go into details on these because there's so many features that are available with these as well. But what it'll do is it gets you started. You know, how much do you want to be able to do with your business within the software? Do you just want to be able to do the bare minimum to be compliant? Do you want all the bells and whistles? All of these products do become available with Sage Copilot as well. So it's entirely up to you how far you want to go with it. Now, what I will say is with the individual free, it only permits one income source. So any additional sources, so if you have multiple businesses, or you might have a sole trader business and a landlord business, you will need two separate. You can have maybe your sole trader business on the individual free, and then you might need to, however, whichever one you want to take. It might be you want to take the individual, just the normal individual, the paid one, for your landlord, or vice versa, whichever way around. But you can only have one income source on individual free. Okay, so summarize what we can offer is, software to keep you compliant. With Sage Accounting, you have the mobile app, so you can process on the go. With our products, you can capture receipts and invoices to automate your processing. You can track invoices, forecast your cash flow, run management reports and see how your business is performing. We also offer free training, like today, and support on our Sage University as well. And lastly, we offer world-class technical support. Now, we do have an MTD for Income Tax Hub if you wish to check it out. If you click Find Out More on your handout, it will take you to this page here. And this is our MTD Hub. Alternatively, you can just search sage.com/MTD. It will bring you to the same place. Now, it does cover a lot of what we've already talked about on today's session: thresholds, what you can expect, all about the end of year return. If you scroll down, you can see we're starting to talk about the options that you can get. So you've got your individual free, and then you've got your the paid individual. So it might be worth definitely checking that out. I can see a lot of questions have come through as well, so please do bear with us on the question front as we're trying to keep up with those as well. The guys are managing very well. Okay, so if you'd like to join the MTD testing phase, then you can join as well. Again, I'm going to talk about how you can get registered for that, but I'm going to talk to you a bit more about the benefits of that as well. So you get fewer surprises and more control if you join the testing phase. It will reduce January stress. You can have better cash flow planning. You'll have cleaner records. You can make faster decisions, and you can have that confidence in compliance as well. Now, if you do want to join the webinar for how to get registered and what are the benefits of joining the testing phase as well, then, like I say, Matt is covering this in his own webinar. I believe it is this week. Can't remember off the top of my head when the next one is. I do apologise about that. But if you have your hand out and you click to register for our webinar, it will take you to the registration page, and all the dates and times will be in there as well. Okay, so for the resources for the testing phase as well, I provided a guide there, so if you are looking to get registered for the beta, then you can just click on the top option. If you need some video demonstrations on how to get your software activated once you have registered, then we've included those as well. Now, if you're wanting more product demonstration, how to see how you're going to process in the software, how to submit those quarterly updates, you know, different ways and means you can record your transactions, then get registered for our webinar, Managing Income and Expenses in Sage Individual. Now we're going to be popping some dates in there as well, but what I do want to do is I just want to launch a poll on your screen. So bear with me a second. And we're trying to work out dates that's going to work best for sole traders and landlords, days, times, things like that. So I'm just going to launch a poll on your screen. You should see that there now. So just wanting to know, out of the days that are available on your screen, which dates, or days rather, sorry, are you most likely able to attend? So we're trying to make it, you know, make the journey as easy for you as possible. So is it going to be a Monday? And these are multiple choice as well. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Which days work best? Like I say, we'll go with the majority, you know, what seems to work best for everybody. We can't obviously accommodate every single person, but we will try our best to make these available to everybody as much as we can. So I can see a lot of votes are coming in there. Great to see. And I'll share these as well. I've got another question after this as well. I just want to pop on your screen as well. Okay, so we've got the majority of votes in there as well. So you can see Monday's quite popular. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays pretty much the same. Fridays, yeah, okay. That's great insight for us as well. So I'll just end that poll there. The majority seems to be on Monday, which is really helpful for us for planning. Now I'm just going to launch another one because we've got the days, but we need times as well. So pop this one on for times. So again, similar to the first question, or days, what times are better for those days, Monday to Fridays? So is it better 8 till 9 before work? We've got 9 till 12. Again, they'll be around in between these times, obviously depending on the answers. Is it better between 1 and 4, or is it better between 5 and 7 after work? Some of you may have families, and you might want to spend that time with family, which is absolutely fine. But we're just trying to gauge an idea of, do mornings work better? Do afternoons work better? See those votes coming in nice and quickly there. Okay, so getting over 70%, but I can see the votes are still coming in quite quickly. I don't want anyone to miss out. So just wait until it slows down a little bit more. You can see between 8 and 9, not as popular. but 9 and 4 seems to be the most popular options there. A couple of you outside of that for 5 till 7 as well. Okay, what I'll do there is I'll end that poll there. We've got some great insight, and thank you for those who have cooperated with that. So I'll end the poll on that one as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through some important questions answered, because I can see we're running over a little bit, so I'll try to get through what we can. So the first question I'm going to cover is, can I carry on using spreadsheets? So only if they link to compatible bridging software that can submit your figures to HMRC digitally. Manual entry and copy and pasting will not be allowed. So spreadsheets, if you want to use them for your own personal use, that's fine if you want to make notes and things like that, but your transactions will still need to be entered into the software with Sage. So you might be doubling the work if you are going to work that way, but the thing with Sage is it's compatible software. It sends it straight to HMRC for you. Will I need to pay every quarter? Now this one is one of the biggest myths about MTD, and sole traders think that they might need to do 4-year ends and then have to pay every time they do a quarterly update. But this is not the case. When you pay is remaining the same as it is today. Does HMRC want to see all my accounting data? No. MTD doesn't require you to submit more data, but it does change how often you report it. Instead of a single annual entry, you'll now need to send those 4 quarterly updates. And lastly, HMRC, will make tax digital mean I pay more tax. So they do state that making tax digital is to close the tax gap, the avoidable errors, and the fraud. If you've been completing your tax returns on time and correctly, that shouldn't mean that you pay any more or less tax. So let's summarise the information that we have covered today. So first phase begins in April 26 for those earning over 50,000. This process is for sole traders and landlords. Income is assessed 2 tax years before the tax year in question. Transactions will be recorded digitally and submitted via compatible software. You will submit 4 quarterly updates and a final tax return. Adjustments can be made throughout the year or at year end. Landlords need 1 report per quarter, no matter how many properties, and you can register for the testing phase ahead of mandation in April 2026. So you can still register for that as well. Now I have provided some links down the right hand side for further information. So if you have our income tax hub, there is also HMRC guidance there. Again, that's where you're going to find out if you're exempt from MTD for income tax. And lastly, I've included some myth busting videos there as well. And that's where we tackle some of the most common MTD myths. Now I just want to launch one more poll on your screen there, and I'm just wanting to know if you're not already a Sage customer, or you are an existing Sage customer and you want to discuss maybe your current package, or you want to discuss taking a package up with us, then if you can pop an answer in there. Again, you don't have to answer this, but if you are interested, just pop a yes in there for me, and then we can get the relevant people to reach out to you to have that discussion. Again, if you either don't have to answer, or you can just click no if you do not wish to be contacted. So I'll leave that open just a little bit, just let the guys catch up on questions. As you can see, there's a lot of questions that have come through. We might not be able to answer all of these today, so please do bear with us. Okay, I can see time to come to an end there, so I'll end that there. Thank you for those of you popped your interest in there for us. We'll reach out to you after the session. Okay, so as I mentioned at the start, this webinar has been quite top level, although it may not feel like it. We do have an in-depth course on Sage University that you can complete at your leisure. It's interactive, and you can also earn a digital badge by completing the course. You can share this with your this digital badge on your email signature or socials like LinkedIn. If you want to get registered on your handout, you can click the link. Don't forget, it is completely free. Okay, so this is the last chance to get your questions in. So what I'll do is I'll put myself on a brief mute. I'm just going to see if there's anything I can pick up in the meantime. So please do bear with me for a brief moment. A really good question that's come through here is, what's the best way for me to learn how to use Sage individual software? I've started using it, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it correctly. Now, this is a really good one, and I know it's not quite MTD topic, but I think it's going to be useful for everybody. Just make you aware of the resources that we have available. So if you go to sage.co.uk/help, along the top, when you've typed in sage.co.uk/help, along the top, you will see Sage University. If you click in here, you choose, and this will take you to this is obviously this training for partners, for accountants, for customers, and this is where you can find out your courses, you can find out more webinars. So there's loads of learning content online that you may not be aware of, and it's free. So do take advantage of that. So I'll just remind you where you go. So you type in sage.co.uk/help, and then along the top you've got Sage University. So there's loads of resources online to be able to help you get started with your software if you're not sure how to be using the product as well. See if there's anything else we can pick up. Okay, so there is a lot of questions. We might not be able to answer all of those today, and we have run over quite a bit. So what I'll do is I'll end the session at this point. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Again, apologies if your question hasn't been picked up. There's been a lot of questions, been a lot of you on the session, and there's been a lot of questions coming through there. So apologies for that we've not been able to pick that up today. If you've got what you try again. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. If you could please let us know any feedback regarding today's session. Just a reminder though, when you are filling out that feedback, today's session is all about us breaking down the legislation that's set out by HMRC. Okay, the survey, let us know what you thought about the webinar. What did you like? What did you not like? What could I have done better? We're always looking for ways and means to improve our sessions, and we do like to read every single comment that does come through. So please do, if you get a spare minute or so, pop a comment on there for me. I would really appreciate that as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to the guys who's been on hand today to answer your questions, and thank you to you all for your participation today. Just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.